Hey everybody, this is Bridget here with Role Playing Public Radio. Tonight we're doing another Patreon game, obviously. These are the things where instead of playing with normal cast members, members of Role Playing Public Radio get to run games for the fans. So if you subscribe to the RPPR Patreon, I want to say at the $10 level or above, we run about 4 games a month, and you can just join in on them whenever you feel like. And you get to hang out with us and we play different games. Aaron runs games, Ross runs games, I run games. And I feel like there's other people, but honestly, I don't know the rest of the RPR staff that well. Anyway, I am Bridget. I am the most innovative GM of Role Playing Public Radio. I am an award-winning author and industry-leading game designer. My pronouns are she, her. And with me tonight, I have 2 players to play a Delta Green scenario that I am calling Operation Good Praxis. So we'll go ahead and start with Anthony. You could go ahead and introduce yourselves and your characters.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I'll be playing Kenneth Burchard, he, him, and I'm from Florida. First time subscriber. I've only been a subscriber for a month or 2 now. Very excited.
Hi, I'm Charles. I will be running Agent Park tonight, a federal agent. Pronouns are he, him. This is the first RPPR game I participated in.
Excellent. So lots of long-time listener, first-time caller things. So the game tonight we're playing is Delta Green. It is a game of modern horror. The conceit here is that our characters, Agent Bouchard and Agent Park, are part of a shadowy government organization whose job it is to keep the supernatural from invading everyday people's lives. It is a fairly messy business and almost always ends in sunshine and rainbows. I feel like I have half of that wrong, but we'll figure it out later. So today you are a part of what this system is calling Operation Good Praxis. You are in the town of Appleton. It's located in New England. I didn't really want to pick a state, so just whichever one strikes your fancy the most. It's a fairly small town, but I want to say fairly small town to the size of like what I think a fairly small town is, which is probably a medium-sized city. It's about 35,000, 40,000 people, just nestled in different economic districts here of this little area. It's not too far away from like larger places, but also it's kind of a bit out in the countryside, so you get to enjoy nice scenic vistas. What it's known for is its rolling hills rather. It's not just one hill that moves around. And there is a river that like bisects the town. It's very, I want to say quaint. It's definitely that old like kind of Europe feel to America, where you just kind of like that idealism that like lots of old classic movies kind of want to capture. Like this town is like that. And the point of Operation Good Praxis is that you have a contact you're supposed to meet up with at the Stillman Museum, which is one of 2 landmarks, like big landmarks in the town, that happen to be right next to each other. One is the old Appleton Church, which is technically more of a cathedral. It was built, it's one of those structures that was built forever ago, and it's super fancy and it's super big, but it's not necessarily used like how it used to be. Like it's more of like a historical artifact, cultural artifact type of building. Like it doesn't actually see regular Sunday services. And mostly just because it's on top of one of the larger hills in the town, it's mostly useful for you kind of like, you point to that and then you drive to that and you find the museum, which is at the base of the hill. It has 3 major rings, but in a central room, like a big amphitheater that kind of connects all 3 wings. You've got the west wing, the east wing, and the north wing. And that's going to be the site of tonight's adventure. So the 2 of you, I assume, are sharing transportation. You've got some kind of, I don't know, black sedan or maybe SUV, whatever you're most likely to be using. And you are just about pulling up to the museum. It's after sunset, but not super late. So I want to say something like 7, 8 p.m. And all you know is that you are supposed to meet your contact, Miss Archer, and follow her instructions.
All right. So, what type of gig you think this is going to be?
No clue on this one. Could go either way. Museums kind of give me the heebie-jeebies though.
A lot of culture and a lot of dust. Well, so we head towards the parking lot in the vehicle and park. Does there seem to be a lot of activity in the parking lot?
There is a lot of cars here, actually. The parking lot is almost full, which is kind of surprising because you wouldn't expect people to be here after hours. So it must be some kind of event. And if you look up towards the building, you can actually see a crowd of people still kind of like shuffling in. Right towards the door, because you can kind of see it from the parking lot, even though it's a little bit far off. You can see that they are like doing something, like that people entering the building are being stopped and they're doing something to them, and then they continue to go in. So the line is like moving quite slowly because of whatever this process is.
How are the people dressed going into the museum?
They're dressed quite nicely. It's not exactly like super formal, but like people have got suits on. People have nice dresses. Like it's like dressed up for a small town kind of thing.
All right. We both kind of look each other over, seeing how we're dressed in a couple. I'm wearing a beat up suit, rough from the road. Uh, this town, it doesn't sound like it's near any major airports, so we had to drive quite a way to get here. And I look over at Agent Park.
Park compares his relatively minor tailored suit. It's in relative good condition because he's had the jacket folded. Hasn't been wearing it, but the suit is a little bit rumpled and worn, having traveled all the way here.
Well, let's get this over with. And we head towards the line.
Okay. Do you want to get into the line or do you want to walk up to the head of the line?
I think we should go to the head. We're here to meet a Miss Archer, correct?
That's correct.
All right, let's push to the front.
Okay, so you push to the front of the line, and some of the people in line kind of cast you dirty looks because, Richard, you don't look quite as nice as some of them, and they don't understand why you're like walking up to the front. So you see up at the top of the stairs, because there's stairs that lead up to this sort of main building. They have a little way station set up, and there's a couple dudes in like nice looking but like not super interesting suits, and they've got like a metal detector, and they're like taking people's keys and stuff and like signing people in. There's a little list there that they check people's names to, and then they check them for metal objects, and then let them go in. Presumably they're also stopping things like flash photography and that kind of thing, because it is a museum, like stuff in there is pretty old, so things can get damaged. But also among these two people that are dutifully going through this thing is a kind of a tall woman with like really long, like really straight blonde hair, and it's like super blonde, like it's almost white. And she notices you, and then she walks down the steps to meet you, and she has kind of a like an uninterested tone, like either she's like really tired or like she just really doesn't care about what's going on. And she says, "So I'm meeting you?"
Miss Archer, I presume?
"Yes, you're correct."
Richard and Park. Pleasure to make your
Nice.
acquaintance.
It's nice to meet you too. So, did they tell you what you're here for?
Maybe we'd better talk inside.
Sure. So she leads you up the stairs and takes you in through the front doors, which leads you into this sort of like foyer, kind of like waiting area. It's basically a place to like receive crowds before they actually go into the actual amphitheater, which is what this big building is for. So you can see signs up. You can tell that the event going on tonight is actually part of a lecture series. It's the conclusion of the lecture series about mythological tales. Tonight's is specially featuring the myth of King Arthur, which is pretty cool, you guess. Anyway, she takes you to the side and over up a flight of stairs off to your right, which you presume would take you, if you continue to walk up further, would take you up to the balcony seats in the amphitheater. But instead, she leads you off into this small room. There are lights on. There are two people sitting in here. They're watching big banks of monitors. They've got shelves all along one side that have all kinds of like different gear and things for them. Some of the things are innocuous, like flyers to the museum. There's a lost and found section, but there's also like banks of like radios and things like that. So you can only guess that this must be where they sort of like coordinate the security for the room. And she's
When
like,
they
all right,
said,
how much do you know?
well, we were told it was a night at the opera, but I didn't expect it to be taken so literally.
She kind of laughs, but like in a way that's like super disinterested. Like if she's laughing to be polite, less than that was actually funny. And she says, well, night at the opera is a new term for what we'd call this. But anyway, here's what's going on. You see all those people filing in to the lecture hall.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I can't let anything happen to them. No matter what happens in the rest of the museum for the rest of the night, nothing except for you two, myself, and members of the staff are allowed to get into or out of that room.
Are you planning on locking the doors? Isn't that against fire code?
She shakes her head. We're not going to lock the doors because we can't. And I don't want someone inside getting antsy and trying the doors. But if anybody gets out, they're not allowed to be let back in. And nothing can stop the conclusion of this lecture series. Do you understand? Nothing.
So she seems, from just looking at her, kind of antsy, hasn't slept, and really doesn't want anything to happen. Is she more concerned about the protection of these people? Like, is she protecting these people from something in the museum? Or is she protecting the museum from these people? Would I...
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and roll like human.
Yeah. Well, that is a 62 out of 80.
Okay. So she is concerned with the protection of the people, but like it's not super high on her list. And she's actually not really involved with, you imagine, the actual physical structure of the museum. Like if a fire started in it, the thing that she would care most about is if it would stop the lecture series. Like that seems to be the thing that she's mostly in on. Whatever topic or talk is going on tonight is the most important thing to her.
If I may, Miss Archer, are you expecting a particular threat to occur? Or have you received a threat?
Yeah, she nods her head. We've received several complaints of people being up to strange activity over the last few days, and we have reason to believe that someone will attempt to sabotage tonight's event. I don't know how, and I don't know in what numbers. But I'm expecting something big.
I see. Do you have a list of your staff and security, and what measures have already been taken?
So that's one of the things. Currently, she sent everybody home, so there's no like janitors on site. The only people that she has working security are the two people standing in this room and the two people at the door. She doesn't care what you do with them, but it was going to be her plan to send them away, and only your team and her would be working security. Because she's not sure who all she can trust, so she wanted to limit the variables down to the guests and yourselves. And she looks at you like very seriously and says, because you're outsiders, I figured it would be easier. Plus, like you said, it's not your first night at the opera.
No, ma'am. I suppose if we could see those threats and your physical copies of them, or
She nods. She takes you over to, one of the like filing cabinets and stuff, and she digs out a folder and sets it on the table for you there, because it's kind of like a break room kind of looking thing, but also like the security office, like so that there's like a table with a couple chairs around it. Um, she waves over at a laptop, and she's like, "There's a computer over there if you find you need it for some reason." And she spreads out the threats onto the table, and some of them are just like pranks, almost like you can discount those instantly, like they're probably sent by like bored high schoolers and stuff, and so you kind of push those off into a corner. But like some of them are pretty cryptic, and some of them are like downright horrifying. um, can I have you roll occult?
I failed 97 out of 20.
is this a skill that has a base? Has a base of 10?
Mhm.
All right. Nope, that's a failure.
Okay. So a couple, the ones that stand out to you most is this kind of like handwritten note that's directed to Miss Archer herself. And it's a threat to her physical person. Like it's kind of done in the style where like it may have been like a friendly letter, but like something about the language that you kind of pick up on it is like it's very obvious that someone means her personally harm. And then the other thing that strikes you is this like nonsense letter. It's made up out of symbols that you don't understand and can't read, and they appear to be drawn in some kind of like super dark red, almost black ink. They're like scrawled in a really erratic kind of hand. They look kind of chaotic, and they're just sort of all over the page.
Were these actual like physical letters, or were any of them like printed emails, or?
The threat to Miss Archer is a printed email, but the rune scrawl is a physical item. Like it was a letter that was actually like left here.
Miss Archer, this odd letter here, did they know where you were? Was this, addressed directly to your home, or was it addressed here to the museum?
She shakes her head. It was nailed to the front doors.
Ooh. And there's no hope of canceling the event tonight, or?
She shakes her head emphatically. No, this must go down as planned.
Right. Is there a reason for that?
She like kind of like looks at you. Can I have you roll human again?
Sure. Yeah, 13 out of 80.
There is a reason, but she doesn't trust you enough to tell you what it is.
That makes sense. Just kind of shrug. Look, I'm sure you have your reasons. I hope they're worth it. And Agent Park, I think we have enough information that we can start making some rounds and maybe seeing if there's any holes in security.
Certainly. I do have a quick question. The rest of the museum is secured. There's no entrance, any other wings or anything like that?
You get to the wings through going through like this area. Like you can go off because there's like walkways that surround the amphitheater. They're like hallways, with like art and things in them, and they branch off to the other wings. So each wing has its own like outside like set of doors, like that are for like staff use only. So those are all locked up. Each wing has its own set of doors, and they all also lead into the same basement. But the main way to get in there is just through the connection through this main amphitheater building.
Okay, so the amphitheater building is the core of everything.
Mhm.
Can we? I noticed there were radios here. Can we borrow some of those radios in order to coordinate with the staff you do have on hand?
Good call.
She nods, of course.
All right, grab a radio.
Okay. I assume you've got headphones or something that you can just click them into, so you don't really need to use your hands if you don't want.
Yeah, like an earpiece and a throat
Mhm.
mic or something. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, Agent Bouchard, what would you like to do for our plan? Would you like to coordinate our rounds and make sure that we're not too far away from each other at any one time?
Yeah, let's see if we can pull up a blueprint of the museum, identify any entrances, and a quick walk around. How much time do we have before the show starts?
You got about 20 minutes.
Not much time.
No.
Uh, so yeah, let's just start walking around together, see what we see.
Okay. She hands you a pamphlet that you might find interesting. It's just a basic map of the kind of the museum as it stands now. So, of course, there's the big amphitheater building. You have the East Wing, which currently has a mock up of the Knights of the Round Table, the Round Table itself. That's the major feature for that wing. The West Wing is a simulation of the Battle of Camelon, which was when Arthur was returning from fighting the Romans. And the North Wing is they're still setting it up, but it's supposed to be the final piece of this kind of Arthurian exhibit. And then there is a basement that runs underneath all of them. Miss Archer has given you a set of keys. So if you need to unlock or lock any doors or get into the basement, like you have keys for that.
On second thought, maybe we should split up with the radios.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Given the time frame, it's probably better to split.
Sure. I'll take the basement.
Okay. I'll head towards the east wing and then circle around towards the north.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Agent Bouchard first, and then we'll switch over to Agent Park. So Agent Bouchard, you can get down to the basement through the similar way. The stairways that you came up, there's another set of stairways near there that just go straight down. They're locked behind this big staff-only door, which of course your keys circumnavigate quite easily. And you get down there, and it's pretty dark. There is some lighting, but it's not very good.
All right.
It just looks like a series of maintenance tunnels. Like you can see piping for what you assume must be for like water for the bathrooms and things like that, heating, that kind of thing.
I will go ahead and click on my cell phone flashlight and head through the basement tunnels, looking for any points of egress.
Do you have a specific part of the building in mind? Like, are you going to head towards one of the wings specifically, or just kind of wander around?
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly head from one place to the next, looking for anything suspicious, anything that had been planted the night before, or any points of entrance that could be used tonight.
Okay. Can I have you roll search?
Searching. 42 out of 70.
Okay. In the West Wing, but once you're under there, because you're just kind of wandering around, checking all the doors and things like that. There's a set of doors that leads up into the West Wing, and they should be locked because everything else you've ran into so far is locked, and these ones have been unlocked.
All right. Immediately go into the to the radio. Agent Park, Miss Archer, there's a unlocked door in the West Wing. If you could start heading that way.
I'll head that direction.
Yeah. I did lock the doors behind me initially. as I was heading through. And I'm going to be looking around this door. Do I see any? Was it forced open? Is there an extra set of keys lying around? How did this door get opened? And if I can tell, how recently?
It doesn't seem to have been forced open, and there's no like tools or keys laying around. So either someone unlocked this like tonight, or someone left it open.
Okay. I will let the group know as such and head up the stairs through that entranceway, locking it behind me, and try to meet up with the rest.
Okay. So Agent Park. So you're like, like light jogging through the halls or whatever to get over to the West Wing. And when you get to the exhibit, you notice that there is a light on in this wing, and there probably shouldn't be. Like up until now, the hallways have been really dark. Like it's just the lights that need to be on and nothing else. And when you had gone over towards the East Wing, like the lights in there had been off. But in here, you can see off in one of the far corners of the room is one of the lights is on, and it's a really big room. Like the two of you see this at the same time. That's divided into a couple of sections by some dividers that kind of obscures your sight lines. But the whole point of this room is it's kind of supposed to be like an interactive like battlefield. So there's a lot of um, like there's like a mat that's been put down, like somebody has like made it so that like you're kind of like walking around on like cobbles, and like there's like grass in places, and then there's like piles, of like defeated enemies with like like weapons of the time like sticking out of them. Like it's a very dramatic recreation. And the different points of the exhibit are like specific fallen soldiers, like people who were important in the Arthurian myth who died on this fight during this battle. And in the center of the room is where the light is pointing down onto. It kind of goes up this like artificial hill. You can see on the backside of it, Agent Bouchard, that like it's got stairs to walk up to there. Is this light is shining down on a kneeling figure.
Agent Bouchard.
Yeah.
I'm going to approach towards the light. If you could please provide backup and cover just in case.
Certainly. All right. I hand moves to the 38 that I have, and I will be keeping overwatch, looking like behind us, behind the direction that Agent Park came from, and haven't heard anything from Miss Archer on the radio.
She stayed in the security room.
Okay.
She doesn't want to leave the cameras alone.
Okay.
But it's too dark to see in there. So she's like, I can't really give you any kind of visual. She can confirm that one of the lights is on and it's not supposed to be, though.
That figure there, has it always been there?
Depends. What does it look like?
Kneeling down?
Yeah, it's a. She's like, well, that makes sense. It's supposed to be the kneeling body of King Arthur.
Okay.
Can I have you roll your perception? I want to say is the skill.
Alertness?
There you go.
All right. That's an 8 for me out of 50.
Everything looks fine here.
Okay, so from where you are, you can kind of get a better look at the figure, but it's not someone that you would expect in an Arthurian exhibit. Like they're not wearing anything that looks like armor or anything that looks like kind of like old timey clothes. It's just a kneeling figure wearing a tailored red suit, like a like business suit.
So I'll report over the radio. The figure doesn't appear to fit in with your Arthurian exhibit here. He's wearing a A tailored red suit?
So you actually hear Archer excited for once. And she just starts yelling into the radio, "Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there."
Agent
Okay.
Park, come on.
Yeah. Back out of this room.
So as you turn to like leave, are you fleeing or are you like stalking out?
I'm going to stalk out.
Okay. The figure like stands, like, so it was an actual person just kneeling there, just stands up, and then you hear this kind of like laughter that kind of echoes around the room because it's so big, but like it doesn't seem to necessarily come from the figure, just so sort of kind of like everywhere, like maybe the voice is just kind of like bouncing around the room and the different partitions and things like that. And the figure turns to look towards the front doors, and it notices Agent Park attempting to back away. And it's like, so rats infest the battlefield after all.
I'm not a rat, and this is a fake battlefield.
The person grabs one of the like prop weapons that's been embedded into the ground up where they're standing, and they move down the hill towards you. And they don't seem to be particularly in a hurry, and they also don't seem to be particularly worried that you have a firearm. They're just kind of like stalking towards you.
So I'm going to rush out at this point towards the front, hoping maybe for some backup, or maybe the guards at the front. And over the radio, I'd like to call out that guy. He picked up a weapon in there. Are those weapons? Those are fake, right?
As far as you're aware, they should be fakes. So, Agent Bouchard, is there anything you want to do while this figure is advancing on your friend?
So Park turned around and started fleeing. I've got the figure in my sights at this point, and it's coming closer. I don't want to cause a panic in the room. Like, my objective is to follow Miss Archer's orders, because that was the agency's orders that they gave to me. So I'm gonna try to talk to the figure.
So like, do you like shout at him or like?
Yeah. I put my pistol away. I'm like, sir, this is a museum. It's great that you're here, but I appreciate it if you put down the prop.
What's your dodge skill at?
30%.
Okay, so it's a really narrow thing, but like you kind of like get this like idea that you're in danger, and so you dive out of the way at the last second, behind a partition, as this like arc of just like red, like thin red light, like speeds through the air at you, and it destroys part of the partition you died behind. Like it just like cuts through the ground, it cuts all the way up to the ceiling, it slams into the wall opposite, and just makes a big groove in this room. And you don't know what made it, but you did see that the person in the suit swung the prop sword at you.
Okay. Park status. Are you
Outside
clear?
the room. Yep, clear,
Yeah,
Bouchard.
you're
Where
out
are
of the
you?
room and you're booking it down the hallway.
Okay, let's see if we can lock this guy in here.
Okay. So you want to like go behind the door that you just locked and try and get through it and lock it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're technically splitting up.
Can I have you roll? Yeah, let's have you roll athletics. Just to see if you can get this done quickly.
I cannot. 75 out of 50.
Okay. Then I need you to roll another dodge.
A little better that time. 6 out of 30.
Okay, so you're kind of like fiddling with the lock and you get the key in, and then The hair stands on the back of your neck, and you just roll to the side as another one of those like strange red light like arcs through the air and slams into the door that you're trying to open and close quickly, and it just cuts the doors into pieces like ribbons. It's like there were three big claw marks taken out of it, and it just opens that area. So now you have a perfect place for egress, but you will not be able to lock it behind you.
Yeah. All right, that's a negative on locking this guy in here. I'm gonna see if I can try to talk to him again.
Okay, what do you want to say?
Look, buddy, we can talk this out. I don't mean you any harm. My name's Agent Bouchard. I grew up in Kansas.
The figure starts laughing at the concept that you would be able to do them harm in any way. You harm me?
Exactly. It's crazy. But I don't want to be crazy. I just want to talk. What's your angle
Who
here?
sent you?
Look, I'm just a small security detail here, trying to help protect the people inside.
Obviously, but even dogs have masters. Who sent you?
Let's start with your name. What's your name?
Was it the wizard or was it the lady?
I know a lady. What does she look like? What's her name?
So it like kind of it like the figure like smiles and starts talking to themselves, and you can only like hear parts of it, but they seem distressed to hear that the lady is here. And then they kind of like glare at you, and they're like, "On my honor as a knight, I will allow you to flee the battlefield, but if you insist on staying, I will kill you."
Well, I start like backing up, like I'm gonna flee, head down, kind of. Great. I'm gonna try to hold the radio open so that everyone can hear. Well, if on your honor as a knight you're letting me flee, I appreciate that. But on your honor as a knight, what about all the innocent people in that room over there?
And then I just starts laughing again as it like walks up the hill back to where it was. Anyone that knows my father can't be innocent.
Well, who's your father, so I can stay clear of him? As I say, like still backing down into the basement.
So the knight like glares at you and is like really kind of like angry, but also like kind of impressed that you would actually like ask a driving question, like in the middle of like what is obviously not a good situation for you. And like it kind of like smiles this like cruel looking smile, and then tells you, and everybody can hear it over the radio, but you don't know what they said. Like it's clearly a name, and you clearly heard it, and you clearly understood it, but you like instantly forgot it. And like once that like look of like dawning like understanding that you're incapable of like remembering what was just said to you like washes over your face, like the knight just starts laughing again. Can I have you everybody roll sanity?
16 out of 70.
3 out of 70.
Nice.
Okay, so it's obviously a supernatural phenomena, but like you were kind of expecting that because like nobody tells you to go to the Knights of the Opera and have things be okay. So there's something going on, and you don't know if it was something that was done to you, or a property of this night person, or like what. But like you cannot remember the name that was just told to you.
I'm gonna chalk it up to the tinnitus from the red laser beams. And I'm gonna flee down the basement, trying to regroup.
Okay, where
It
do you want
doesn't
to
seem
meet back
like
up at?
security room sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's meet at the security room.
Yeah.
So you're in the security room, and the only person in the security room is Miss Archer. She sent the other 4 suits home.
Okay.
The people at the door and the people that were watching the monitors.
He seems to be stuck on the battlefield. And the wing. He doesn't seem to intend to move towards the Room of Innocence. He didn't seem to have any interest at all. He was pretty interested in a lady and wizard.
At that kind of like the mention of that, like she starts like she has this like tick, kind of like this nervous kind of tick. She starts scratching at her neck.
Is there anything on her neck in that area?
No.
Necklace or
Mm,
anything. Okay.
no.
Miss Archer, if I may, you seem a little nervous. I know this is an opera, but that was quite odd. Do you have any explanation or anything that could help us?
You know this guy?
She shakes her head. I don't have any explanation that I can give you. I only have suggestions.
Well, I think we'd take anything at this point.
She says, I know that whoever that is, they have to be one of the guests. Like people only came in here tonight through the front doors. So if you can find the guest list, maybe you can figure out who it is, and maybe that'll teach like help you figure out how to deal with them.
Sure.
Okay, the
He's
guest list.
wearing a red tailored suit. Maybe one of the people that checked him in might have known.
She sent them home.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? Do these monitors do they record as like a function where we can back it up and see people coming into the museum?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the cameras record like the front. They record a lot of places, like the front, all of the wings, all the hallways, because like it's a museum, so like they don't want people to steal anything. So yeah. Would you like to review the footage?
Yeah. Agent Bouchard, I believe the guest list was out front at the metal detectors. I don't know if you want to go
Yeah,
grab that.
I'll go through that. Miss Archer, do you have the cell phone contact of the people you sent home? I'm sure a red suit would stick out if they answer.
Yeah, she nods. That she does, have the list of staff, and she has all their phone numbers.
Okay. I will ask her to please, since they're not going to know who I am, but they'll know who she is. If she could call them and see about what time to help Agent Park parse through the security footage.
Okay. So, and then are you going to go grab the guest list while you wait?
Yes.
Okay. So it takes a little while because she has to call up quite a few people. It's like 6 names in total. But they do all kind of remember seeing like a flashy red suit because it was surprising because everybody else is in such like like regular looking like dark colors that the bright red one kind of stood out. And they know that they checked this person in, but they can't remember under what name. Like they know that the name was on the list, but they don't remember what name. But using that Agent Park, she does show you like where you need to search in the actual footage to see them arrive, like about what time. And so you're looking at the line and you're looking for that bright red suit, and it becomes impossible to actually find it. Like no matter how many times you watch the entire procession in like a speed through, like you don't see anyone in a red suit. Can I have you? Do you have anything? Do you have like forensics or any other kind
Yeah,
of?
I
Can I
have
have you
I
roll
have
that?
forensics at 50.
Yeah, can I have you roll forensics?
Okay. 41.
It dawns on you that maybe instead of looking for the red suit, maybe you should look where someone should be but isn't. And when reviewing the tape, you finally notice that there's like a gap in the line. Like if people are like pretty well like spaced evenly, and they're spaced in like like there's a certain amount of space that each person occupies and it's unbroken. It's not like people like once they get in the line, it's not like they like become groups or anything like that. But there's a break in the line around the time that the person in the red suit was supposed to be entering the building. And there's just nothing there. And then once that like break finally makes it up to the doors, like the people checking people in like start talking to no one, and they like wave the metal detector over no one, and then they go back to talk to the next guest in line.
Okay.
So Park, can I have you roll another stress test, please?
Yeah. 9 out of 70.
Okay, this is weird, but you're starting to put things together. So like this is not the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life. So you're keeping your cool.
You point that out?
Yeah, I'm going to, after I've discovered that and watched the tape, I'm going to radio Burchard and let him know the guy in the red suit's not showing up on the cameras. And
Okay.
when I say not showing up, I mean he's not showing up on the cameras.
So we're not going to be able to look at him through the video cameras that are live to track his position. Wait, he's not showing up on the cameras?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Do I make a sand test?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've preemptively rolled that and failed.
Okay, so you just take
90 out of
1
70.
sanity damage.
Okay.
Because generally, if something can like hide itself from something like recording equipment, that usually means that it's something extremely dangerous.
Why'd they only send 2? All right. Let's see if we can just do a male, female, male pattern and see what this guy's name's supposed to be.
Okay. So you go down to collect the list. Because it was just supposed to be on that table where they were like checking people in and things like that. But when you get there, like it's been someone clearly had an issue with this little station. The metal detecting equipment, the whole like entrance doorway into the museum, the table itself has been smashed repeatedly with something. It's caved in. There's damage to the floors and things, like the concrete is cracked. The glass around the doorway is in pieces, and it's just a mess down here. Can I have you roll search?
Sure. That's a 52 out of 70.
Okay. So the manifest of the guests is gone. So you don't know if it was like someone smashed things apart looking for it, or if they grabbed it and then smashed everything to like make it less obvious how they took it, but it's gone.
Guest list is gone. Entrance been trashed. Even the concrete's dented over here.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know how this happened. Actually, I might. Can I make a criminology test to see how this area was destroyed?
Sure.
If there's like a golf club or... I actually just failed that. Crit fail, actually. 55.
It would have had to been something big. Like you're not really sure what could make something like that big that quickly. Maybe an explosion?
Or one of those prop swords. I shake my head and I kind of head back, like wildly looking back and forth for this invisible mystery assassin blade wielding monster.
Okay. Can I have you both roll alertness?
36 out of 50.
38 out of 50.
It's getting kind of warm in here.
Bouchard, do you feel that?
It is kind of hot for this part of the U.S. And inside of a building.
Yeah.
Right.
Miss Archer, where are the HVAC controls located at?
Well, they're set per exhibit, but the actual system for them would be downstairs in the basement.
Do we have any temperature readouts, like thermostats in rooms?
Mm-hmm.
I'll check one as I'm heading back.
So you stop at a space in the wall, and you can see one of the thermostats. You haven't been given the code, so you can't actually like mess with it. Like you couldn't
Mhm.
change it if you wanted to. But it's set at a cozy 68 degrees. But what the actual readout is about 78, and it seems to be slowly climbing.
Hey, Park, I think our guy's in the basement messing with
Yeah.
the HVAC.
Yeah, I just talked to Miss Archer. She mentioned that's where the controls are. Um, can I turn to Miss Archer? And I'd like to ask her a question. Miss Archer, earlier when we cited and called in the individual in the red suit, um, you seemed to react to that, um, possibly excitement. Do you know who he is?
She nods.
And I'm
Well, and then
assuming,
she like pauses and she kind of shrugs, and she says, "Oh, I think I know who he is."
is it the name that I can't remember? Is that why you can't tell us?
She nods and said, It's something similar."
Do you know if he's a threat to the lecture and the people in the hall?
She like glares at you and is like, "You saw what he did. Isn't it obvious he's a threat?"
Yes, I agree. He's a threat, but he didn't pursue Agent Bouchard and released him, um, and returned to the battle scene from what Bouchard said.
She just like shrugs. They probably don't have to follow you.
Okay. Um, Bouchard, do you want to uh, meet me in the basement?
Yeah, I was headed back up to the security room.
Yep.
So I'll meet you halfway.
Agent Park, can I have you roll alertness again?
Okay. Uh, that is a 44 out of 50.
Um, one of the monitors, one of the security monitors, like the image changes. Like you catch it out of your corner of your eye that like something happens, and when you look at it, you notice that it's in the East Wing exhibit. It's pointed down at the actual like physical mock-up of the round table that the round table that the knights of the round table would have been sitting around, and the lights are on, illuminating it.
Change of plans, Agent Bouchard. I think we need to head to the east wing. A light just came on over in that area on the monitors. I'll meet you over there.
Well, if that's where our guy is, I don't want to go there.
Well, we might want to just take a look in and see if he's doing anything in there. Or if he's, who knows, lighting a fire or trying to cause a distraction or something. We were tasked with making sure this thing goes off without a hitch.
I think we're past that point. Should one of us head to the basement, or do you want us to stick together?
Based on what he did before, I think it would be best if we stuck together.
Okay. I don't want the crowd to disperse because of the heat, but I'll back you up.
Okay. So you head over to the West Wing together, or the East Wing together. And it's kind of warm now. Like the temperature seems to be about 80, and it seems to be about steady. It doesn't seem to be getting much warmer than that. But it is kind of like muggy. It is kind of uncomfortable for the night because like outside it's like pretty cool. And it's supposed to be pretty cool inside, like just a little bit warmer, but like it's kind of muggy. It's getting kind of oppressive. You imagine that the people in the lecture hall are like probably uncomfortable, but like they're probably not like bothered, like enough to leave yet. So you approach the east wing, and there's some. It's got like these nice big glass French doors that go into it. And there's a little standee out there that like tells you what the exhibit's about, which is it's a recreation of the round table, and it also houses some artifacts that might have been, or at least like prop replicas of artifacts that the knights would have actually used. And this is also has the library for the museum. Like the room is split into two, so there's like the exhibit portion, which is where the round table mock-up would be, but then there's also just like a larger library area that just has like rare books, historical books, like just like a lot of like things, and along with that currently has on display some featured versions of the Arthurian legend. So with that in mind, you head into the area and it splits off immediately. You can go to the right and go to the library, or you can go to the left and you can go to the exhibit portion.
I don't want to flank this guy. I don't want him getting spooked.
Okay, I'll approach into that room if you want to hang back by the doors.
I nod.
Okay. So Richard, you're going to stay at the doors, and then Park, you're actually going to go look at the exhibit.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Park, can I have you roll an alertness test?
Oh boy. Nope. Failure. 96.
Okay. So it's still pretty muggy in here, but it's also pretty dark. There's just the one light on, which kind of illuminates the center of the area, which is where the mock-up of the round table itself is. And then you also see around the room are like big glass cases that like are their own little micro exhibits, and they are displaying artifacts or props or recreations that may have been used by the actual knights of the round table. So basically there are 13 little boxes, and they're all dedicated to one of the knights. They've got little placards explaining who the knight was, like notable things they may have done in the actual like legend, who they might have been as actual historical people. And then the glass cases themselves like display the props that might have belonged to them. So suits of armor, shields, weapons, that kind of thing.
Okay. I'll call out into the exhibit and just say, "Hey, is there anybody here?"
Your voice kind of like echoes back to you, but then you like start hearing like a low like growling or kind of like grumbling noise.
Is there somebody here? I can hear you. You come and step out, please.
The growling noise like gets louder, and it sounds like vaguely humanoid, but like also kind of not. It's like somebody like grinding their teeth and just making noises like, but it's also like kind of like a dog growling. Like it's the two like kind of like layered over the top of each other.
I'll inch further into the room and see if I can see anything.
Okay. Can I have you roll alertness then?
Sure. Made it this time, 21 out of 50.
Nice.
Okay. So skulking in the shadows on the far side, on the actual wall, is there something like crawling around, and it's vaguely humanoid in shape, but it's certainly not humanoid in size. Like if this thing or whatever it was standing on the ground, it would be roughly 7.5 feet tall. It's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and it seems to be wearing some kind of black, like all black suit of metal armor. And it's just crawling on the wall and like looking at you. And you can tell it's looking at you because like in its like medieval shaped helmet, in the the little split little cross piece for the face, there's just this red glow that is aimed at you. Like there's some kind of like light or glow emanating from it that's just this like blood red in color, as this armor like creature is just crawling on the wall, growling and glaring at you.
Um, oh, okay. Is there like any of the exhibits around? Like it's wearing the armor, so is there any of those miniature exhibits that are like broken or open?
Yeah, a couple of them actually. 4 of them have been opened. You can't tell like who they would have belonged to until you actually go and look, though.
Bouchard?
Here,
I don't know how to describe what I'm seeing, but I know it's not good.
then you should get out.
Yeah, I'm gonna slowly back away from it.
Okay. The thing like climbs off of the wall, but like very slowly, like, and it kind of like walks on its hands down onto the floor and then drops onto all fours. And then it like its body spins weirdly as it just stands. Like it doesn't even have like any problem. Like it's just its legs straighten up and then its torso straightens up and then its head just snaps up. And you can see it at like almost its full height, although it's like crouching. There's this like dark smoke or maybe black kind of like filmy fog or whatever that's like leaking out of the joints in the armor. And that's probably what makes this room feel so dark. And it's like very slowly walking towards you.
I feel like that's a sand test.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I barely made it. 69 out of 70.
Okay, so you keep your composure, because like this is horrifying, but it's not actively trying to consume your insides, and it's alien, but like its humanoid shape is still like vaguely understandable. So like it's just enough that your like mind can hold on. What do you want to do?
I want to turn and run and tell Bouchard to be ready to lock the doors.
Okay,
Are there doors to lock?
the big glass French doors.
I should do it.
Okay. Can I have you roll? Can I have Park roll an athletics test then?
Okay. I failed. 96 out of 50.
Okay. So you don't make it out of there in time. You're like sprinting for the doors. Park, you're there, or I'm sorry, Bouchard, you're there, like waiting to like slam them closed and like lock them.
Yep.
And you both just kind of like, you get that like sense that like something is calamitous is about to happen, and you both dive to the side as a sword, like a prop sword, goes flying through the glass doors, hurled with immense force, and embeds itself in the wall in the hallway.
From which direction?
From inside the exhibit.
Okay, at least there's only one. Yeah, I'll try to like run in there and like grab Park's hand, pick him up if he's stumbled, and like haul us both out.
Okay, so the two of you like are like running down the hallway, and the armored thing, whatever it is, like comes to the end of the exhibit and like steps out in the hallway, and it like grabs the prop that's embedded in the wall and starts trying to pull it out of the wall, but it's like buried in there really deep. Like it threw it really hard, and it yanks on it and yanks on it and yanks on it, and then you see these like red lines of light kind of just start appearing on the prop, and it kind of like goes down through the handle, it goes down through the blade, like almost like like a like a circuitry like tattoo that you'd put on somebody's like face or whatever that like glowed. It's like that, but like on the actual metal of this thing. And once it's lit up, like completely lit up. He like wrenches it out of the wall, and it takes a big chunk of like the concrete and the wood and the plaster and stuff with it. Like it tears a big hole in the hallway. But he's left handling this like prop that is now glowing red, but it's also kind of smoking in the same way the armor does. And then it just kind of like looks around confused, like it can't see you, and you turn the corner.
Okay. All right. Uh, weirdly enough, I've got a couple theories.
Okay, go.
Okay, there's a knight. He was all red. It's King Arthur, red, bad guy, Mordred. Is that a thing?
Are you
You're,
asking me?
I'm asking Agent Parkin character.
I have no idea.
You ever read about King Arthur?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the stories. I'm not a historian or doctorate in literature or anything like that.
All right, and then the thing you saw, what was it like?
It was a black armored, huge, like 7.5 foot tall. Had like black smoke coming out of the joints of the armor.
Black smoke. And it was hot.
Well, I don't know if it was hot. It was really dark in the room. I think maybe because of that thing being in there. But Bouchard, I think you're onto something. But there were 4 of those cases in that room open.
I think something's in the museum, and it's not necessarily that King Arthur and the knights are coming to life and doing stuff, but I'm thinking it's like a spirit or a thing that's coming and taking the power from the memories and from like the situation, but I don't know what to do with information. The Black Knight was another one. He was in a swamp. He was a big dude. Smoke, sword.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. What
It's gonna be more.
what's in the north exhibit? Do we know, Bouchard? We know
It's being
the
worked
round
on.
table. Yeah, but it's supposed to be the capstone for this exhibit, right?
Shit, you're right. Archer's being no help whatsoever.
I don't know that she could. I asked her when we were up in the room looking through the video. I don't know if she doesn't understand or if it's like that name you got. I don't know if she can tell us.
I have a weird feeling this is all happening because of her, but at the same time, she's on the opposite side of it all. Let's check out that other exhibit. You think?
Yeah, do you want to go through the basement? Maybe we can hit the HVAC on the way.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that should be on the way.
Okay. So you want to take the basement down to the north wing then?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have you roll alertness rolls for when you get down into the basement?
Critical success. 44 out of 50.
Ooh, same exact roll, 44 out of 50.
Nice.
Hilarious. So it's super obvious what's wrong down here. There is a black Icarus substance coating the walls and ceiling of this area. And in some places, there's like puddles, just like 2-inch, 3-inch deep puddles. And it's all over the area down here. It's getting into the pipes, like it's pushed its way into some of the pipes, which is why you think that maybe the AC might be warm despite it being like constantly on. It's like gumming up some of the like breaker boxes and things. It's like sticking everywhere and just smells terribly down here. But you can't like quite pinpoint what the smell actually is or like what it smells like. You just know that it smells bad, but it smells bad as like a feeling. Like it smells like being a kid and being on a family trip and not knowing where your parents are. It smells like having to give a lecture to a room full of people and you're not prepared. It smells like someone chasing you down an alleyway and you can't see their face. Like that's what the smell is down here. Can I have you both roll sanity tests, please?
Pass.
85 out of 70, I fail.
Okay, so you take 1 sanity damage, but the most important thing is that you hear like a sniffling noise. Like you hear something that's like sniffing, like something has caught the scent of something.
How close am I to one of the puddles?
You're about a couple feet away from it, like 5-6 feet.
Bouchard, don't touch that with your bare hand.
I'm gonna touch it with my bare hand. Just gonna dip my pinky in it.
It's like really sticky. It's like kind of like molasses, but like it also like kind of has a kind of like will to stick to you. Like when you like pull your hand up in a way, like the puddle like sticks to you for a long time. Like you just stretch it out like it's gack or something before it finally like sloughs off of your finger.
Is there any residue on my finger?
No.
All right. So maybe we can just open up a window. I was hoping that, and I'm whispering at this point. I was hoping that we could rub some of this stuff on us. Whatever's sniffing down here might not be able to smell through it, but it can smell us right now. There's nothing more we can do here.
Yeah, I think this is a no-go. We're gonna have to find another way into the north wing.
All right, let's backtrack.
Okay. As you're leaving, Agent Park, you hear very faintly like what sounds like a woman crying.
Bouchard, do you hear that?
Do I hear that?
You do not hear that.
Nope. Let's keep moving.
You don't hear a woman crying?
Agent Park, only danger is that way. I think we have to keep going.
Okay. All
Can I
right.
have you both roll alertness rolls?
That's the question, if I can roll without dropping my dice.
38 out of 50.
65 out of 55.
Okay. So Agent Park, you are certain that you can hear the sounds of a woman crying down in the basement. And Agent Bouchard, you don't hear anything. It just sounds pretty quiet in the museum.
Agent Park is going to turn around and I'm going to shout down the hallway. Say, ma'am, are you okay?
So the wailing gets louder, but still only Agent Park can hear it.
I think she's getting closer, Bouchard.
Well, if it's anything like the last couple, we better get going. They're territorial. Let's get out of their territory.
Don't you think? What I mean, shouldn't we see it to know what it is?
No.
Well, maybe it'll help with the legend stuff that you keep talking about, right?
I check my watch. How long until the lecture is over?
The lecture has about another hour to go.
Agent Park, we can't do this. I'll back you up if you believe it.
I mean,
You know how these things go sometimes. Can't save everybody. But I don't hear anything. That's weird.
what do you mean you don't hear? I mean, she's clearly, and it's getting closer. She's crying out. I mean, what if it's one of the guests? You know, we're supposed to, protect the people in that room.
All right. All right. Let's stay here. But if she's coming closer, we gotta lead them out. I don't want to get any closer to this. Ma'am, if you can hear me, come to the sound of my voice, we'll help you find your seat. If you're lost, my name is Agent Bouchard. I'm a federal agent. I'll help you out. If
So
you're
you
in
kind of
trouble, yeah,
like lure this person up out of the basement.
yelling into the darkness.
Okay, so you hear so Agent Park, you hear the crying, and it's louder and louder, and now you can kind of distinguish a voice that just says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And then mixed with that, like you both hear this sound of like this like wet slapping noise, like like okay, like how like hamburger makes, like if you're when you like, or like any kind of meat makes when you're like tenderizing it, or like slapping a fish against a table, like that kind of like wet slapping noise, like that's what you hear. And there's a lot of that like overlap. This just is kind of like wet slapping, like coming from each direction in the basement, like coming up towards the basement exit that you're at.
Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah, let's. I don't think that's doesn't sound right. Let's get out of here.
Okay. So you flee. You don't want to stick around and see what that's supposed to be. So do you want to head to the north wing now?
Yeah, we're gonna close and lock the doors behind us.
Okay.
You know,
Okay, so
these
you just slam them shut and then hastily move on your way.
these strong doors that can prevent anything from breaking out.
They've been so effective so far.
Right.
So you hustle over to the north wing, and this is supposed to be a recreation of Arthur's return to Avalon. So there's like a bunch of like plastic kind of hung everywhere, like it's like over where exhibits will be, or there's like space taped out on the floor where they're going to be moving things in, stuff like that. The only like real piece of it that's actually set up is there's this large statue of a mournful looking woman in the middle of the room who's just kind of looking down, and she should be cradling something. Like you don't know what it should be, but they haven't actually installed it yet. But in the place of it right now, and cradled in the arms of this statuesque, literally woman, is a green suit of armor that's just kind of reclining and like idly kicking its feet and swinging an arm.
Bouchard, you're the expert here. Who's the Green Knight?
The Green Knight. That's the Green Knight.
Does anybody have history? Do you want to roll history?
Yeah, I remember half the story, but I'm not sure if it's Arthur. But my character definitely doesn't. With an 89 out of 10.
No, you have no idea who this is.
Nature-based knight, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, is he a good guy?
How large is the suit of armor?
The question is she a good guy?
Oh, right. How big is the armor?
The armor is, like maybe 6'2", but it's a lot of plating. And it is the armor suit that's talking to you. Like the helmet just kind of like turns lazily to regard you.
Little rusty on history. That's a pun because of the armor.
I do love jokes.
Say, so there's a lot of things in here that seem to mean myself and my friend harm. And I've had a lot of nights, well, one night, kind of say that they had honor, but they also meant harm to a lot of people, innocent people. And well, I'm just looking for a friendly face at this point.
All knights have honor. It's just probably some of them have too much honor, or maybe not enough honor. I can never remember which one is which.
Okay. Well, I'm Bouchard, and this is Park.
Hmm. I don't know a Bouchard or a Park.
Well, now you do.
Did I know you before?
I can't say. Uh, if you did or you didn't. What's your name, Green Knight?
Yes, exactly.
See, I told you.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
um,
So the knight like stands up, or at very least, like the suit of armor stands up, and the helmet just kind of goes clinking and then like rolling down the statue. And this headless suit of armor says, "Oh, sorry, I never know where my head is at." That's a little bit of a joke for you.
that's
And
a
then
good
the suit of armor like picks up the helmet and replaces it. But like, it's not like there was a person underneath it. Like there was just nothing.
one. Santest?
Hmm.
Oh yes, I fail.
33 out of 70.
Okay, yeah. So with your critical success, you're totally fine. Like nothing phases you at this point. And then Bouchard, you take 1 point of 70 damage.
Alrighty. Um,
Do you know the Black Knight?
I feel like the question you should be asking is, does the Black Knight know itself?
Did seem kind of like an animal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Green Knight, what is your intention? Uh, I'm trying to protect a group of innocents in that room over there until such
Oh,
a point.
I'm just waiting to go back to bed.
Uh huh. Who woke you up?
Hmm. Did anyone wake me up? Or have we always been here? I don't remember.
Do you know what's supposed to be held by that statue you were sitting on?
Well, of course. The body of the King of Lions.
That's King Arthur, right?
Probably.
Well, if we see him, we'll let you know, I guess.
If you see her. Common misconception.
If we see her, we'll let you know, I guess.
If you see who?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Right.
What was your name again?
Uh, Bouchard.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Have you seen Bedivere?
Uh, one more time, that name?
Bedivere. Have you seen Bedivere?
Do you know what they look like?
Well, a knight.
Any distinguishing marks, color?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'd say an aura of composure.
I haven't seen anything that's made me feel composed tonight.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Um, Perhaps we should go have a chat with Mitch Archer, and maybe we can take another look at that letter she received.
I don't know any archers. I just know knights. Um, but if you want the letter, I can give it to you.
Sure. Yeah, great.
So like she kind of like digs around in her armor and then like holds up this like stack of papers that have been stapled together. And it looks like something how you would imagine the guest manifest would look.
Oh, hey. Uh,
Oh, great. We were looking for that earlier. Perfect.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's yours. Now, I could just give it to you, but I hate to give away things for free.
I see. So you're proposing a trade of some sort?
How about we do a little test?
Lights and their tests.
If
What?
you can knock off my head with one swing, I'll give you the list. And if you fail, then that means it's my turn, and I got to try to knock off your heads with one swing.
All right, but before you do that, don't you think you should tie your shoe?
Huh?
Does the suit of armor look down?
Yes, the suit of armor does look down.
All right, I'm gonna go
Get
for
her.
a punch.
Get her.
I'm just gonna straight throw a punch at the knight.
Sure.
Yeah, 15 out of 80 for unarmed combat.
All right, so you connect solidly with his suit of armor,
Yeah.
which hurts because you're punching a suit of armor. But like, you know what? You kind of expected that, so it's not the worst feeling in the world. You just don't want to do it again. And the helmet just goes sailing off of the Green Knight. Like it goes back and it hits the statue, and it kind of catches on one of the hands.
Sorry. Just really need that list.
The suit of armor like starts laughing and it starts clapping, and it was like, that was really, really good. But I'm still fine. So I guess that means it's my turn. And
But
she extends an arm out to her side, and then this massive battle axe just materializes out of nowhere. It's huge. It has to be at least as tall as she is. The blade has got to be like 3 feet in size. It's just enormous. And you kind of are understanding what might have messed up the doors at the front of the museum. Now, hold still. It's going to be really messy if I miss.
Does she still have the papers?
She does have the paper in one hand, yes.
I want to try to grab the papers and run.
Okay. Let's go ahead and use unarmed to see if you can grab the papers. And then I'm also
Okay.
going to need Bouchard to roll dodge.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that.
15 out of 60 to grab those papers.
Okay. So what did you get on your dodge then, Bouchard?
46 out of 30.
Okay. So, well, the knight is distracted, like swinging at Bouchard. You manage to like run up and just like rip the list out of her hands. But Bouchard, you're not so lucky, and you like catch like the end of the battle axe, so it's like not the blade proper, but it just kind of like flings you backwards and into the hallway, and you're like bodily sail 20, 30 feet, and then collapse into the hallway. Like it fucked you up pretty badly. You take 7 points of damage.
Ooh,
Okay.
ouch.
What are the rules for consciousness and unconsciousness in Delta Green?
I want to say when you get to 0, you need stabilizing treatment.
I think like if you're at like 1 or 2, you're not good.
Yeah, you're a little slow, and you definitely need help soon if you're at 1 or 2.
I'm at
1 or
3.
2? Okay. Yeah, so you're bleeding pretty bad. You're gonna want somebody to look at that, but you could at least have the strength to leg it out of here.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep. Time to run.
So the knight like kind of like follows you to the edge of the exhibit, and she's like, "Wait, it's your swing."
No,
Aw.
I'm good. And the fact that I'm not.
Park is going to run up and try to help. While clutching the papers, is going to try to help Bouchard get out of here.
Okay. And where are you escaping to?
Security room.
Yeah,
Okay.
seems like the best idea.
So you
Maybe
like
there's some first aid kit or something.
hobble up the stairs and into the security room, and like Miss Archer is like not that surprised that you're all fucked up, and she like helps you onto a table, just like to sit down so that you can get a good look at you, and runs over to the emergency supply kit and like starts like trying to put bandages on things, put emergency You know those big like sticker things that go over sucking chest wounds, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What the hell did you run into?
A concussion. And then a
Uh,
battle axe.
Wielded by a green knight.
In that
Hmm.
reverse order.
Well, did you win?
Oh, yeah. Got the papers.
Yep.
Well, that's useful, I guess.
Find out who Sir Red was.
Okay.
Arthur and his Technicolor Dreamcoat of Round Table Knights.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds better when you're not concussed.
So you have the list of the people that are here, and I have that list, and I can read that list to you if you would like.
Sure.
Okay. In no particular order, and certainly not in order of importance. The names of the people present are Rudolph Sheely, Eleanor Sherman, Latoria Gallegos, Foster Conlon, Carlene Flowers, Griselda O'Connor, Holly Arocho, Judson Whitnick, Felicia Curley, Lance Aaron Knight, Clifford Braun, Evelis Ruska, Marquis Caudell, Sybil Hent, Garimina Petschka, Gertie Fordham, Leslie Cars, Morgana Kells, Murtis Falls, Hortensia Jock, Sheila Bressler, Madeline Pancake, Dee Dee Mossy, Shauna Cessna, Maggie Donahue, Vanessa Whitmore, Clarence Lyons, Garrett Beckham, Barney Dominguez, Darren Guardiola, Alana Sikorsky, Elijah Weld, Shay Gutter, and of course the presenter, Lynn Merle.
I caught a few of those.
Yeah. I got a pancake. I
Mhm.
stood up. I got Lance Knight.
Yep. I think the presenter was particularly interesting to me. What was that name? Merle?
Lynn Merle.
Yeah, just reverse that. Merle Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know enough of that, at least in this story.
Got a Morgana too. What was that Morgana name?
Morgana Kells.
Kells. LaFay.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And something Lyons.
Right.
Clarence Lyons.
Clarence Lyons. Mm-hmm.
Lance Knight. What's the other? Yeah. Miss Archer.
Yes.
How are the people inside doing on the cameras?
She like shows you the feed, and it's just people like chilling around, like listening intently to the lecture.
Wow.
They look like they're doing okay.
What were the other conference names? Titles of the three before and this one?
They're just like it's just a lecture series on the Arthurian legend. And this one is titled Mist of Avalon.
That was similar to the last exhibit that we just came from. It also shared the name Return to Avalon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bouchard, I can try to run back down and grab something from the library if you think that'll help us. I mean, there would seem to be a lot of information in there.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Let's go together.
Are you sure you're feeling okay?
Uh, no, I am definitely not okay. But someone's gonna back you up.
Okay. I is that letter, the weird letter written in the really dark ink, still here?
Yes.
I'm gonna step over to that and pick it up
Hmm.
and bring it over to Bouchard. Bouchard, I just got a weird feeling with all this weird stuff that's going on and everything. And she said this was one of the threats.
Yeah, it was in the file folder labeled threats. Yeah.
Right, but it's not like any of the other ones. I mean, neither you nor I could even decipher it, right? So how do we know it's a threat?
I look at it in my concussed state. Do the letters make sense?
They do not.
Okay. um, you think maybe in the library there's a translator?
I sure hope so, because I have no clue what to do otherwise.
I need to go run and grab a plug-in for my laptop real quick, so I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we had. Luckily, it doesn't seem like any of the Arthurian creatures have taken dominance over the lecture hall. So that's good.
Well, unless Merlin is the one
Uh,
who's dominating it, right?
right. Or keeping them out.
Yeah, but I'm hoping we can do something with the letter because that's the only thing that I can think to latch onto to help us.
You know, I wonder what would happen if we just walked into that lecture hall ourselves and just sat down and listened to it. Wouldn't have run into the Red Knight and the Green Knight and the Black Knight, whatever was down there in the basement.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to find out what was in the basement now, but
Or do you?
I kind of still do.
Mm. Hey, what are friends for, buddy?
Well, let's see if we can find anything in the library first.
Sure. But if all else fails, close your eyes and start shooting.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. So we want to head to the library and attempt to find anything that will help us with this note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or history, or figure out how not to piss off Green Knights and
Okay. So you pass by the door that you escaped out of down to the basement, and that black ichorous substance is just kind of like oozing out of all the cracks of the doors at this point. Like it's coming up between the door, like it's coming like out of the door handles. It's like coming out from underneath the door. It's coming out by the door jambs. Like it's just kind of like someone like pushing jam through it. Like this black gooey stuff is just kind of oozing everywhere. It's disgusting.
Let's not touch that again, Bouchard.
good call.
I'm gonna try to, once we get to the doors, try to be sneaky um, to get into the library.
I will keep
Okay.
a lookout.
Can I have you roll alertness then for the lookout?
Sure. Just fail.
Okay. So you don't hear the weird creepy night thing, and you don't seem to see it, but it is awfully dark in the exhibit area.
I'll keep a lookout. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
going to try to stealthily make my way to the library.
Do you have stealth?
I do.
Could
Not
you
very
please
good.
roll stealth?
Ooh, I actually made it. 3 out of 30.
Wow.
Excellent. So, like, this is the stealthiest you've probably been in your life, and it might be the stealthiest you ever be afterwards. But you like manage to just sneak around. You go through the divider and you go into the library. And the thing that stands out most like immediately to you is that there's like a couple like pedestal kind of things, like a podium looking things where they have specific books on display. There's 4 of those. And it's just like various things related to Arthurian legends. So like one of them is this big book that's like a collection of artwork related to just various important points in the story. There's one that's open to descriptions and like notable deeds of the Knights of the Round Table. There's one that's like talks about the different versions of the legend and discrepancies and when like certain parts of the legend made it into which revisions of the tale and things like that. So, do you have like library use or some kind of book looking through skill?
The only thing I have close would be like bureaucracy.
You know what? Let's go for it.
Okay. Nope. 76 out of 60.
Okay, so you're pretty sure that with the stuff in here, like you can find a way to like pick out names on the list, but you don't 100% know who exactly they match up to or even what use knowing the names will be. Like, because even if you like know who the Black Knight is and who the Green Knight is and stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily help you with what you're supposed to be doing to keep them from getting out of control. So you're either going to need another set of eyes in here, or you're going to need a lot more time, and it's time you don't have.
Bouchard,
Mm.
over the radio call. Bouchard, I need you in here. I can't. I don't know enough about this stuff.
Could grab all the books and sneak out, but all right, I'll head that way.
Okay.
I'm going to sneak.
Okay.
I do not sneak.
What do you got?
88. Critical failure out of
Oh.
10.
Okay, so you like make it into the library when you hear like this like deafening howl as like up above you on like the ceiling of this like it's like a 2-floor kind of library, like maybe like 1.5 floors, but there's definitely like ladders and stuff. On the top of this room here, hanging from the ceiling, is your friend, the Black Knight.
Okay. Wrong room. I book
So,
it.
yeah, if you want to run away, both of you have time to grab one book.
Okay, I'm close enough to the books.
Okay.
Do you have a specific book you want to grab, or you just want to grab a random one?
You've been there looking longer. You probably have one in mind.
Oh, I was gonna grab the art one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll grab the either if I have time to just discern between the two, either the discrepancies book, which seemed very interesting, based on what the Green Knight was saying, and the history book. So I might see how one defeated these villains.
Okay. Let's take the version discrepancy books.
Okay.
Okay. So can I have the two of you roll athletics to book it out of here?
A 41.
10
Out of
out of. Yep, I make it 2.
Nice.
Okay. So like you make it out of the room before the like Black Knight like drops from the ceiling. And then you just go like screaming down the hallway as he like runs out of it, like bursts through because he's really tall, so his like shoulders like catch on the doorway and like kind of tears into it, and he stumbles into the wall where he'd thrown the sword earlier and just kind of smashes into it, and he's just kind of screaming. He looks around both ways and sort of like tears off in the opposite direction from you, like he'd lost track of you. But it seems like he's no longer confined to just this specific room.
Jakes. Okay. That's what I was going to ask. Like, what was the point that he stops tracking us?
So like as soon as you get out into the hallway, like he loses you and he runs the opposite direction from you. But like,
Hallway.
he's not just hanging out in the round table room anymore. Like now he's just like rampaging around the museum looking for you.
Okay. All right, we grab our books and go back to the security room, I guess. It seems to be the only safe place.
Okay. So you get into the security rooms, and on the monitors, like you can see that like there's property damage being committed in the museum, but you can't actually see by what. So like the way you're kind of managing to track the Black Knight on the monitors is just by like damage to a hallway will just appear, and so you assume that means that he's there, and so he's kind of like wandering around like snacking things, like looking for you.
I bet if he stepped in that sticky stuff, we wouldn't be able to move for a bit.
Maybe.
Don't know
Maybe,
how to trick him in there.
or if he ran into the red guy or the green knight.
Oh yeah, she's a badass. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, let's not get into fights with those guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talk first, punch less. Not at all.
As little as possible.
As little as possible. Okay. Do we find anything about
Yeah, can I have somebody do probably forensics would be okay.
All right. It's not great, but I'll give it a go. Actually make it 17 out of 30.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's easy to come up with a list of like people who like kind of stand out. And so I can go ahead and give you the names here of like people that may be involved in this kind of thing. In no particular order. The names of people that matter are Lance Aaron Knight, Callie Burns, Morgana Kells, Clarence Lyons, and then obviously the presenter Lynn Merle.
Callie Burns
Mm-hmm.
was okay. So I get Lance a Knight, Lancelot,
Mm-hmm.
probably. Morgan Le Fay,
Mm-hmm.
Arthur of the Lions, probably Clarence Lyons.
Clarence Lyons refers to the sword that Mordred wields, which is Clarent.
Oh. And Callie Burns?
Mm-hmm. And the way that one stands out to you is you remember that in Arthurian legend there's a sword named Caliburn, but you can't remember the importance of it.
Another sword. How bad do you think giving the sword back to the owner would be?
Do we know anything about the sword?
Caliburn, no, but Mordred had that, or at least the red suited gentleman uh, wasn't using a sword. He picked up a prop and was using it. And I'm pretty sure if it had to be anyone, that is Mordred, but I might be wrong.
Well, he's the only one that we saw, or I guess didn't see, on the tapes coming in to
Right.
the museum.
Right. You think he could be looking for the sword?
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Is there? Can we? I don't know. Pull out a smartphone and Google search Caliburn?
Yeah, sure. I'll give that one to you for free. So Caliburn is the sword in the stone. Caliburn is the one that when you pull it out, it says on it, like the person that wields this is the rightful ruler of Britain.
Yeah, that was not Excalibur, who was given to Arthur later. Okay.
Why is a sword on a guest list?
There's a lot of questions we could ask.
Do you want to just like have an idea roll?
I'll say my idea and then I'll make an idea roll. But I think that occasionally in stories like this, swords have their own personality, and but my idea roll is intelligence times what?
5.
Times 5.
Okay, so yeah, I make that then. 29 out of 50.
So that's not maybe not necessarily the names of swords, but like the names of weapons are just to like help you identify who the people are. So if someone like going by a name that's like somewhat reminiscent of Clarent, then that's probably Clarent's wielder, not exactly the sword itself. So you feel like it might be safe to say that the person in the West Wing exhibit is probably Mordred or like some kind of manifestation of Mordred. But Callie Burns maybe not isn't necessarily referring to the sword, or maybe the sword itself describes who Callie is.
Right. Well, the Green Knight said that my previous assumption of Arthur's gender was wrong.
Right.
So Callie's could be a girl's name, could be a boy's name. Maybe that's Arthur.
Is there any way we can match, go back in and match footage to see these people come in?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see if we can find Callie.
Okay, so it's going to take you a little bit of time. So like once you're done sorting through this, you're going to about have enough time to like before the actual like end of the lecture. Like you're going to have enough time to do maybe one thing, maybe two things after you finish. So just like matching the people that comes in, you can't really you kind of get the idea that that like blank space coming in was maybe where Clarence entered the building. There's a rather like mournful looking woman that's checked in directly after Clarence that matches the name Morgana Kells. There's a very tall gentleman with long dark hair in a very like slick, like really like shiny kind of looking, like it's so dark it's kind of shiny looking suit, which is Lance Aaron Knight. The presenter obviously is the person giving the lecture. She's got like kind of white hair, like she's an older looking person. Like she's not like wrinkled or anything. Like it's kind of hard to place her age because she seems to be quite mature, but she also doesn't like seem like that old. So like anywhere between 40 and 70. And then there is a somewhat like shorter blonde woman that you presume is probably Callie.
For our two things, or maybe one thing, the only thing I can think of is asking the people in the lecture for help.
Mhm.
During our time, any type of downtime, I think would have been a good time to call in for reinforcements.
So do you want to call the program? Do you want to ask for reinforcements?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do that? I mean, from what I know, little I know about the program, if you call in reinforcements, they come in hot. We
Well,
we'd have more
I'm not going to stop
bodies
you.
on our hands.
I'm just asking if you're sure before I make the call.
yeah. So, if I don't make this call, I I don't think I'm getting out of here alive. But I never
All right.
really expected to get out of any of these nights alive anyway.
Yeah, you got a point. Go ahead.
All right, so you pull out your cell phone and you dial the number that's supposed to connect you to the secure line that will connect you to backup. And so you just hear a gruff masculine voice that just says, Damocles.
Is that the code word?
Mm-hmm.
And I respond with another code word, meaning like, I'm not gonna officially ask for backup, but I'm gonna say like, if you don't hear again from this number in the next hour, send for backup.
What's taking you so long? It's just one little vampire.
Sorry, come again?
I said, what's taking you so long? It's just one little vampire.
I think we may have been misinformed about the nature of our objective.
You've had all night. It's just supposed to be a simple steak and bake. Like, I guess maybe if you needed us to help you lift a coffin out of something, but like, come on.
Confirm target.
The target you're looking for is a vampire that's been active in the city of Appleton. And then he like gives you a description of what they assume that the vampire kind of looks like. So you're looking for a woman of nondescript age, maybe mid 30s, white hair, red eyes. Probably has several people under her thrall. And the last that you knew, she took up residence in the local museum. She may be using the church on the hill above the museum as a secondary site. Like, I get that there's two of you, but like, how hard is it to search a church and a museum?
If we get out of this thing alive, I'm sure it'll be in the report. Click.
Okay.
Anyway, some type of mix-up at the head office.
Mix up. What do you mean? We're on the wrong op, or
No, it's just they're not going to be able to send reinforcements anytime soon. And I kind of like point over my shoulder, and I'm going to try to do like a nondescript hand signal, like staking motions toward my own heart, but also like pointing behind through my chest at Miss Archer.
Sure.
I don't know how
Yeah.
convey that.
Do you have a lying skill of any kind?
Uh, I have persuade. I have human and
Yeah,
sigint. I guess.
let's go ahead and roll human.
Sure. Wow. I don't make that. 89 out of 80.
Okay, like you can see like when you make that staking gesture, like Miss Archer like folds her shoulders or folds her arms over her chest.
um. All right. Um. What do you think we should do next, Bouchard?
I don't know. I'm gonna get some air.
Uh, with that Black Knight raging around out there, you better not go alone. Let me come with you.
I'll be fine, but sure. We've been sticking together so far. Okay, can we get outside?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Park. I don't know what happened, but I think our SIGINT is got a breach in it.
Okay.
I called Helm office. They said the target was a vampire that we're supposed to be killing.
Oh, all right.
You didn't
Uh,
get the huh? What the huh? Back there?
no, I did, but she noticed it too.
Oh, damn it. Well, if I had noticed that, then we should have just. I don't have a stake on me. Do we have any in the car?
I don't think stakes are standard issue from the FBI. We can just break a chair or something.
So yeah, I don't even know if that's her, but target is a woman, mid-30s perhaps. Who could tell with vampires? White hair, red eyes, resides in the museum, maybe the church. Um, Several people under her thrall. I think we got mind whammied.
Yeah. Well, the only person remotely close to the woman of nondescript age with white hair is Miss Archer, right?
Right. Yeah, so I
But
guess we
if
just go back and
she's
yeah.
yeah, but if she's the what was the point of all of this?
You ever heard of playing with your food?
Yeah.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Okay. Well, that Black Knight ran through and busted a bunch of stuff. Maybe we can find something real quick to grab.
I mean, did he? Actually bust anything? Or was that oh the dream? Ooh.
I I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess.
Humor is the only way I can deal with being mind whammied, attacked by a badass with an axe, and wait, I was bleeding right in front of her. You think
What do
she rushed over, but she didn't really. I don't know how vampires work.
I mean, she slapped a bunch of first aid and bandages and stuff on you, but what'd you say about the church?
Oh, yeah, they said maybe she might be using the church as another backup. How much time do we have before the
We
end
got
of this whole
about another 30 minutes.
30
Um,
minutes?
it's about a 10-minute walk up to the church.
What if I drove the vehicle?
It'd be much quicker, but you would be like, you'd have to do a little off-roading.
It's a rental.
All right.
Uh, I mean, we could always just go in there and ask her, "Hey, are you a vampire?" You have to tell us if you're a vampire.
Are you a
Right.
cop? You have to tell us if it's cop. It's the rules.
Reference. Cool. So, uh, yeah, I mean, sure, we could check out the church, but if that's the target, then
I,
maybe
I
we'll
mean, we
just.
can ask her real quick and be ready to run and get to the church or we can just stake her just in case.
You do
Sure.
still have the radios. If all you wanted to do was ask her a question.
Oh, well, yeah, but if we ask her and then she runs, eh. What if we, I don't know, ask her a question only someone who knew about this event would know about? Not someone who's just been chilling here at night?
Um, okay. And what kind of question would that be in particular? Because neither of us are experts on this exhibit.
No. Let me think about that. 10 seconds. We could, we could just lie and say that we're gonna go check the church and see if there's any safe haven or other answers in the church.
Sure. Yeah, we can always lie to her. I mean, the only other option I can think of is we just preemptively stake her, but if she's not the, you know,
If she's not, then there's more people gonna die anyway, and because of all the knights running around.
right.
All right. Uh, let's stake her and then ask her.
All right. Um, I don't have a lot of experience with a stake.
I could probably do it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm more banged up than you are. Anyway, you can back me up or drag my body out of there, or just run.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go back inside looking for any type of broken piece of wood.
There's a lot of broken pieces of wood at the entrance, so you can take like a minute or two and just like fashion yourself a couple of stakes.
Sure, I'll toss one to my fellow Agent Park.
Okay.
And I'm gonna like poke myself with it, like my hand, until like I
Mhm.
bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it real? Is
Yep, sure hurts.
okay. Beans. Uh, I'll try to conceal it as best I can,
Uh-huh.
and walk back up to the door. I'm gonna knock on the door of this.
Yeah. So like, Miss Archer opens it, and she's like kind of glaring at you, and she's like, "Did the fresh air help?"
Yeah, I really hope this isn't a mistake.
Yeah.
And I go for the stake.
Okay. Do you? Can I just have you roll unarmed then to try and stake her?
Sure. Yeah, make it on the dot 80.
Okay, so you slam the stake directly into the middle of her chest where you assume the heart is, and there's some resistance, and then you keep pushing, and then you keep pushing, and she kind of like backs away into the room, like leaking blood from this like wound in her chest, but like her face doesn't look like hurt, like she's in pain. It looks hurt more like she's shocked, like she's surprised that you would do this.
Hey, are you a vampire?
What kind of question is that?
You didn't answer.
Of course I'm a fucking vampire.
Uh,
She like grabs the steak and like her hand like smokes a little bit as she like pulls it like out of her like rib cage. And then it leaves like an open wound. Like you went like pretty deep in there. And like blood is just kind of like leaking out of it, but very slowly, like not the kind of amount of blood you would expect if you had stabbed a normal person in the chest.
uh, good vampire, kind, understanding vampire, perhaps.
Like, are you asking that out loud?
Yes.
Not anymore. And she throws the steak at you.
Ah, damn! I didn't learn anything from the Green Knight.
Do you want to dodge?
Sure. But I fail.
Yeah. So
Deserve
the
it.
stake just like hits you straight between the eyes. And with the massive axe wound you suffered earlier, this is just more than your physical body can take. And Agent Bouchard just like his head snaps backwards and he like falls down and just like hits the ground with like just a really sad thump kind of noise and starts bleeding out onto the floor.
Okay. Agent Park is gonna run
Mm-hmm.
and jump in the car and off-road it up to that church, because I don't know much about vampires, but it looks like she doesn't have a heart in her chest.
All right, so you like tear through the hallway, and you get down to the entrance, and you're about to like run out to go to the car, when you're greeted by a familiar sight, which is the giant hulking 7.5 foot tall form of the Black Knight.
I'm gonna try to run past him.
Sure. Let's have you roll athletics to see if you can get by him unscathed,
Okay.
or at least as little scathed as possible.
I failed. 56 out of 50.
Okay. Yeah, no. So you just like try and sprint past him and squeeze past him, and instead he just like grabs you and like slams you up against the wall with his big like gauntleted hands, and he kind of holds you there, and then very slowly like draws out the sword that was at his hip. And as the sword like clears the sheath, um like something about it like changes, like the smoke is just no longer there, like you can see the black armor like quite clearly, and the helmet sort of like falls away, and you can like see the face of a man underneath, and it's the long black haired gentleman from before. Like you can actually like understand, like comprehend who this is now. Like whatever he's holding, like you're pretty sure it's like his actual sword, and you're like staring into the face of Lancelot as he has you lifted bodily off the ground and up against the wall, and he's just kind of like growling at you, and he says, "Do you have a final wish?"
Yes. I want to destroy Archer's heart.
And he smiles and says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it for you." um and then one last chance to wiggle out of this. If I can have you make an unarmed attack.
Okay. Boy. Ooh, 32 out of 60? So I actually made that.
Okay. Unfortunately, the knight is really, really strong. So you get in
Yeah.
some good swings and you try to wriggle out of his grasp, but like he just kind of like laughs the blows off. And then with one quick cut, he decapitates Agent Park, whose body falls limply to the ground, into a kind of a bloody mess. Because while Erendite is an extremely sharp sword, um, it's massive, so it like leaves this deep gouge in a wall, and it just kind of utterly like tears up the top, like third of your body. So in the news, 2 or 3 days later, the only thing that comes out of this incident is that in the town of Appleton, there was a massive fire originating from the museum, that swept through much of the town in a very short amount of time, and it killed tens of thousands of people. It's an extreme tragedy. There's like a national day of mourning. Like it's obliterated essentially the site that Appleton stood on, and no one got to the bottom of the mystery of what happened there. Operation Good Praxis was a complete failure.
Oh, I thought you were going to say success. Oh, wow.
Oh boy.
Well, thanks for the game.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks for playing. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm thinking about writing this up and putting this onto my Patreon. So if you want to see it and run it for your friends and torture them and kill them with the mythos of King Arthur, you can go to patreon.com/BridgetFan. That's BridgetFan, all one word, as though you're a fan of me. Again, this is an RPPR Patreon game. So if you want to sit in on stuff like this, like I think Ross runs a bunch of Base Raider stuff, Delta Green stuff, Red Market stuff. Aaron does things. I honestly don't know what Aaron does. I'm so sorry. I'm not plugged in with the rest of the crew. You can go to patreon.com/RPPR. Just donate at the $10 above level. You get access to all the extra bonus podcasts. I'm on a bunch of those, especially Don't Cross the Streams and whatever the one we just started. I think it's like mashups or something. You get access to RPPR B-sides, RPPR After Dark. There's a lot of stuff. Also, please don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Cry Novel to get updates on my visual novel, which should be releasing fairly soon here, the actual first chapter. You can play the preview prologue demo if you go to crynovel.itch.io. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you all later.
See ya.